Continuing playtests with the Abzan Fauna, this time against Blue-Red Twin, and this time we're playtesting for a season full of preliminary Proto qualifiers. Twin deck would be on the left side of your screen. So this is a peculiar matchup. I played against it quite a few times before this, but still felt rather intrigued how this matchup would turn out, especially after sideboard. And here you would see a few games before sideboards and a few games after sideboarding. The Blue-Red Twin list is quite standard. The only unorthodox feature of the deck is in the sideboard, so instead of playing a singleton Sower of Temptation, there is a Vedalken Shackles, but apart from that, the list and the sideboard are quite standard. And as for my deck list, you can check it out in the description below. I'm still running this test to see whether I can determine how I like this version with more interaction, or whether I want to shift towards the more popular right now version with Colected Company. So he started first with Island into Serum Visions. I started with a Forest into Bird of Paradise. Goes untaps Steam Vans, falls down to 18, and then bolting my bird. That's what Twin does in these kind of matchups. I go for Plains into Voice of Resurgence, which met Spell Snare. I apologize for the poor lights in here. You cannot see super clearly the cards, but I would describe you everything, what is going on. So I didn't so what I did in my turn 3, just cast a Fauna Shaman and tapped Godless Shrine, so the black-white Shockland. He then went to respond with cracking his fetchlands, taking some damage. My shields were pretty much down here, and I hope that he didn't have the combo quite yet there. He fetched for the second red just to make sure, so Pester my tapping my guy, and then he rips the fourth land in form of a Mr. Rainforest fetchland and combos me out. So in games like this, the main deck disruption, like 1 mana discard spells and some abrupt decays main deck, do appear quite worth it to summon into main deck instead of just clogging with hate bears and disruption your sideboard slots in the Abzan list. So on to game 2. The game 1 was rather anticlimactic, hoping I would draw into more interaction for the next game. I'm really not sure whether it's worth it to go all in on combos and play the companies and almost zero interaction in main deck. It's rather tricky, because against a deck like this they can just slow you down a little bit with a timely lightning bolt on your mana dork or something like this, and then you're too slow, and then just combo you out and you have pretty much no answers whatsoever. And you never know what the company would hit. It could hit just Fangs and maybe a Witness, but that's not enough to go off. So I don't know. The chords became a little bit clunkier here because I removed the one of Wall of Roots from my deck, and because it was a terrible top deck a lot of the times, it accelerated me into a faster chord and helped me to block some creatures. But the format is not so much about speed down decks, outside a few exceptions. So I replaced it with the one of Restoration Angel just as an instant speed spellskite. So I proceeded with just a discard spell there. Discard the Splinter Twin. There was no red from him. Bunch of blue spells, some Snapcasters. I think there was a Pester-Mate or something like that. And the Spell Snare, which matched my Malarum. Just play a second Township, really screwed in terms of colors. But so did he, but then he threw line number 3 and then snap into Spell Snare. Was an available option for him, so if I would have cast like Scavenging Ooze, that wasn't looking good, so he opted for end the turn, snap into Bolt, because he had access to red mana thanks to top deck Steam Vents. Nothing much on my side. He was kind of beating me down with his blue creatures. Falling down to 9, I knew like he could Spell Snare my 2-drop, so after I drew things and then a second green source, so I opted for Kitchen Things. So going even on the life, so Shockland plus Things went back and forth. He went end the turn, Pester-Mate tapping it out so that I couldn't block. Attacking with both, I'm down to just 7. And it was really annoying, so I just drew a forest, which couldn't activate my Township, and I was stuck, as I remember, at the end of that game with a Restoration Angel and Archangel in my hand. That was pretty annoying, so I knew his shields were most likely down, and then I could have just attacked with the... Well, he could have had Remand, but I didn't quite have Little on me just yet, even though he had another Snapcaster in hand. So I could have attacked, and then probably on my turn, blink the Fangs, and be solemnly like back in this game. It didn't make much of a difference to play it at what point at this turn play the Scavenging Ooze to bail out the Spell Snare and bail out the Snapcaster, so that if you draw balls I wouldn't have been just dead or something like that. So it was a fine trade, I thought. And because I still had some cards in hand, so he was actually tanking for quite a long time whether to counter it or not. But it seems like a safe choice anyway. And of course I stayed on defense because I was facing almost Little, and I would have been super happy to be able to block a Snapcaster and get back some life and so on. And get back on resources, but he had quite a few cards in hand, so I didn't feel great about this game, but I wasn't quite dead yet, so I tried to play it out. So Pester-Mate and 2 Snapcasters attacking, obviously given the option unblocking one of the snaps, and then DKing the Pester-Mate, which I drew like not so long time ago. So I'm staying at 7, virtually taking 2 from Snap and gaining 2 from Kitchen Things. Tapped Breeding Pool from him. So now Cryptic Command at least. And I still didn't draw a white source. Cast Thoughtseize there so that I can make sure no ridiculous shenanigans are gonna happen. But in response to it, he casts Exarch, obviously aiming to tap out my things so that I can't block with it. There is a remand and Snapcaster, so take away the snap. Because that's an extra beater here. I'm down to just 5 after the Thoughtseize, and then been down to just 2 from the snap and Exarch. He has just a remand in hand, and if he lands in play, no double red, but he has a lighthouse or a loot house, like people call it most of the time. So I'm not just dead there, but feeling pretty bad, not drawing a white source of mana or mana dork for crazy amount of time. Yes, the camera glitched here for a while, but I bet it would unfreeze. Yes, it did unfreeze. That was a pretty short glitch, so I scooped up that game, not able to cast either of the angels, so we're moving on to sideboard games here. Apologize for the small glitch. I have so many cards on the board which I want to bring in, becoming basically in a way an Abzan Midrange, of course without any Tarmos or Rhinos, but with extra removals and extra value creatures like Fractusk in the front, the last row, and things of that nature. And in the first post-cyber game, I took in the full set of Fulminator mages, because all I needed was to slow him down and buy myself some time while just beating him with any random creatures. So I ended up bringing Fulminators, Fractusk, Fron, what else was it? Freakmore, because I was afraid of Sower of Temptation, but he ended up not having it in his sideboard, so he had Shackles instead. That meant that I should have brought in probably an additional Maelstrom Pulse, because I knew he would bring in Batterskull, but I hoped to be able to do something before Batterskull basically kicks my ass. And I kept in the Spike Feeder for the Archangel and took out the whole Milara package out. Well, not the whole package out, but I took out 4 Fauna Shamans and then the actual Milara, the Saracer, and I also took out Order of Pontiff in that game, but that was, well, and for all these post cyber games, but as we later discussed with my friend, opponent in this case, taking out Pontiff wasn't really a good idea, because he would keep in the snaps and clicks and some creatures for the combos just to beat down and slow me down as well with the guys with the tap effect. So he took out some removals, some counters, I believe, some parts of the combo, and he brought in Batterskull, Shackles, Karanas. I think there was some bad removal or something like that. But you can pretty much figure it out exactly. It's pretty much the typical sideboard plan of the Splinter Twin when facing a creature deck, including this one. So siding into a control removal package, something like that. And I must say, I do like the Shackles a bit more than Sower of Temptation. The only real downside of it is I would keep in cards like Quasali Pride Mage in the deck to address the Splinter Twin anyways, and then it also addresses the Shackles. Plus it can be hit with an Abrupt Decay, while Sower of Temptation cannot, but it still dies to Path to Exiles and Maelstrom Pulses and sometimes even to Liliana's. So I'm not sure. In the vacuum, I like Shackles more than the Sower. So I went into Bird and turned 2 things, nothing from him on turn 1 or 2, no Serum Visions or anything, no bolts, so I feel super awesome at this point about this game. So first going into attacks with the things, he takes it. Apparently his hand is super slow, while mine is quite proactive. So turn 3 Voice and nothing else, and just a tap land. On my side, he debates a lot about the Voice. He, in response to the Voice, cracks the Fetchlands, falls down to 16. We're still at my turn, so still with the Voice on the stack. He goes on to Remand the Voice, which is terrible for him. So yeah, I'm sorry, so Vince went with a tap land. So after he basically bounced my Voice, I just played my land for the turn. The Fetchlands. Bolted myself in the process, got the Temple Garden out, and just recast the Voice, putting him in a pretty sluggish position. I didn't quite have an answer to his guy. I only had a chord, so he went on to main phase and Vendilion Click, that 3/1 flyer, which basically, well, again, the card from somebody. So he cycled my chord. I had only Township and Witness. I don't remember what I drew from the click. I remember it was something not that bad actually. So play the Township, attack with the Fangs and the Voice Resurgence. He's sort of forced to block here, otherwise he would be taking way too much damage, because he's in the best case scenario 2 turns away from comboing me, so I don't have to do quite much here. He takes in the 2, the Things, persists back. I kinda mess up the counters a little bit, but we would sort it out in a few moments, the correct amount of counters. So the Birds get a counter, the Voice gets a counter, and the Things is supposed to break even, so just stay there with no counters. Because the click was 3 power, so obviously it made way more sense just to deal 1 less damage, but kind of rebound my kitchen things. I go into fetch first because in the worst case I can activate the Township in response with the Bird. So we're trying to sort out the life total misunderstanding here, figuring out how much I gained and how much I fetched and bolted and shocked myself. I gained 4 from kitchen things in total, and at least once bolted myself with a fetch and the shock lands, and then another fetch, and there was another shock. So there you have it. So correcting that, I'm at 18, he's at 14 life. Fetching, getting the planes, playing around the blood moon. So yeah, flexing the mess with the counters and the things, and just going to combat with everybody because I have enough mana to pump my guys no matter what. So of course I first went to the beginning of combat, then he allowed it to no cryptic command then, and he was able to cast it if he had one. He had the triple blue. So he goes sure, and then I pump my team, and then he takes Gazillion. 10 to be honest, so falls down to just 4 life. Then cast Exarchan the turn, that's his only hope to get another red source. And the combo goes for Serum Visions, draws a card, scries, puts 1 on top, 1 on bottom, but there is still nothing that can help him apparently in that game, so he scoops it up rather quickly, and luckily for me I didn't have to have much disruption here, just quick bits, and that was enough for his slow draw. I decided to change my sideboard a little bit. I thought that perhaps 4 Fulminators was a little bit excessive. So yeah, that's in this game I didn't have the Spike Feeder combo, but I decided to change 1 Fulminator into 1 Spike Feeder to have access to at least that combo with a chord, of which there are 3 main deck. It's still okay, and it messes up the math for him and the combat. I mean the Spike Feeder. And Archangel is good on its own. It can't be bolted, it can't be roasted, you can't Kiranos it, you can just steal it with the Shackles maybe sometimes, or counter it with, I don't know, Cryptic Command, but that's about it. All around very solid creature in this matchup, and acts as an additional township, so no reason to take it out. But I wanted the access to the combo in case he would be sort of locked down with things like Voice or Spellskite or some DKs and things like that, and I could chord out one of the pieces at instant speed or something like that, to be able to close out the game before he goes into some really hardcore control-ish board state. So I keep my hands. He was still just shuffling. But things would progress rather quickly in that game as well. Serum Visions in turn 1 from him. chips both on top. I draw for the turn. Fetch, get a shock. So bolt myself, but it's just Inquisition, so it's not a terrible amount of pain. Oh yeah, that's the game when I totally messed up like the sequencing. So I saw Blood Moon, some a cryptic, so there was 2 islands, a bolt, and a snap, I believe, there at the back. Well, I could have, oh no, there was a Jace, the Memory Adept. Was it? No, the Architect of Thought. The only decent Jace, which is legal in Modern. I decided to take a bolt for some reason, because I wanted my creatures to kind of do things and so on. And I should have taken the Blood Moon here, despite me having an Abrupt Decay in hand. So I played the Razorless Cricket, just past the turn. I'm ready if he goes for the moon, if he has it. I see that he drew a mountain, which I don't know about. He plays his third island, and then he tricks me out rather nicely. Play another thicket. If I would have had 2 black sources, this would have worked out fine. Because I know that he has the moon in hand, but I don't know about the mountain. And if I decay his guy right there in response to him tapping my black source, then I'm left without an answer for the moon, because I don't know if I can draw another one. So I tank for a while and let it resolve. He tests my black source and he cannot untap faster, and just play his red source and cast the moon with just basics in play and a bunch of islands to cast a cryptic command. And now I'm totally screwed, so that was really well played from him. It would have been a much different story if I would have laid down some of the fetches instead of all those duels and keeping me so vulnerable. Yeah, just laying down a fetch here which does nothing, so I have just mountains in play, and he completely logs down this game due to me not really going through possible scenarios in my head. I'm already at 15. Then he casts Chase. No need for him to crack that fetch because it's just a mountain. I'm showing my hand just up to desperation, explaining him that I completely messed up. I had some fetches in my hand. If I would have played one of those on that turn 3, then the Exarch wouldn't do anything, and the moon wouldn't do anything, and he had a slow hand without the combo. And I had some action that I would be able to cast later on, so that was just very silly of me to play it all out like this. I think if I would have played more or less correctly there, I would have been in a decent spot. It's maybe going ahead in that game, because I feel like I had much more action than he did. And he played very well, trapping me really in that game with the Exarch. No lander from me, so I'm forced to mulligan to 6, and I'm even on the play in that game. So this time around I have to be way more careful. I'm not entirely sure, but according to what I've seen, I think my opponent had the Blood Moons in main deck, because later when we discussed the sideboarding, that didn't show up, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think in one of the test games I saw main deck Blood Moon, and I feel like that's a very nice thing to do right now in the current metagame. It fizzles so many decks. Even against a deck like Green-White Hate Bears, it's not bad, and I would probably keep it in or side it in against those green-white Winnie decks, because they have a bunch of Razorwish Thickets and Our Dual Lands and Ghost Quarters and such. So just turn 2 spell cuts from me. He started off with a Serum Visions turn 1, and then a fetch and pass the turn. Pride Mage. I'm a little bit soft to Blood Moon here, but not too much, because I have an active fetch and to block in case something weird happens. I have a spell guide in case he goes to, let's say, bolt or something onto my Pride Mage, and I have a basic Plains in play. So this game I'm not supposed to lose to a Blood Moon, that's for sure. Alright folks, I apologize for this, but meanwhile the recording unglitches. I can go through more insights, so you can just listen to me for a little while. Basically, this matchup is supposed to be in my favor, if I don't think of ridiculous things. I have so much in disruption. Okay. What I was trying to say is that this matchup is supposed to be slightly in my favor, because I have so much disruption for this matchup, unless he goes into really not draw like the control-ish style or super fast combo and I have no interaction whatsoever. On the other hand, Twin can always just top deck like some of its combo pieces. It's a two card combo deck. So it is actually quite awesome, even though it does suffer from the Abzan matchup, but it's so good against a lot of our combo decks, because they have Spellskite, so I feel relatively safe here to crack my fetch land, not have it access to 1 mana to sacrifice it to blow up something, but there is nothing I should be afraid of at this stage. And because I have this Pride Mage and Spellskite, so I feel also relatively safe to fetch for Shockland instead of a basic land, because I wanted enough of black and especially green sources for the Corticaling. He has only 2 mana ops. That deck doesn't really play mana like it could play only Remand, and he doesn't have the Cryptic mana up. I go and fetch for a Swamp, because I have 3 basic forests in my deck and only 1 basic Swamp and 1 basic Plains, and because of Pride Mage I have the access to that 3rd green for the Convoke and stuff. Cast Corticaling for free, get the Fulminator Mage, crack his Steam Vents. Even if I wouldn't bring any Fulminators, which is probably correct to do, not to bring them. Court for free still gets me a lot of interesting things here. Even just the kitchen things would have been quite nice here because I have already Prime Mage and the Spell Guide in play. Which is pretty much the best cards in this matchup. Surprisingly from both sides, not just from me. So if he would have his own Spell Guide, that's also pretty nice. That also negates all my hates as well. Well, I rushed a little bit through the combats, but it wouldn't have mattered a whole lot. I would just have to spare 2 life to target my Spell Guides. I mean to redirect the tap effect. And before blocks I cast Decay on the Exarch to deal the free damage. So I was a bit too hasty, but it wasn't super relevant to this game because I would just pay 2 life to tap my Spell Guide in both those cases here. Same story repeats, a turn later. He targets the Spell Guides there, which is weird. In my opinion, he should have targeted the Pride Mage, so that I would have to pay 2 life to tap my Spell Guide. Anyways, I had another decay for his Exarch, but if I would have had to pay the 2 life twice there, I would have been already at 14. And I have only 1 card left in my hand. So maybe, in theory, to some extent, it would have been relevant, but not super much. He draws for the turn. He thought it was a fashion for some reason. Well, it kind of looks a little bit like Rainforest because he's kind of in a bad position here, so he messed it up a little bit, but then he quickly corrects that, and plus we're just testing, so it's not a sanctioned event. And playing the right way is better here. He casts another Exarch on my turn at the beginning of combat. Targeting my Pride Mage. I'm fine with that because I don't have another DK, and my guy would have been just a 3/3 and he would just block and nothing special will happen. Then I go for Oozes there, falling down to 16 while I should have been on 12 because of the Spell Guide triggers, which I ended up not needing to use. Has a ball, he has the combo there, he has, no, he didn't, so it was Bold, Persimite, Snapskis, and the Moon. And the last card in my hand is Archangel, and I take out the balls while debating on it, so I'm pausing for a while, thinking which was ultimately the correct one to pick with the Oozes here, because he could then snap bolt, so I decide to just take the snap, because that's more value for him if I let him keep the Snapcaster. He gets to use a bolt and have a 2/1 in play. So he's tanking for a while. His position is not spectacular. Goes to attacks for some reason. Because I have Archangel in play, which I can cast there, I don't really care. So I try to trap him as well. Block with the Spell Guides. He he then goes into attempting to target the Pride Mage with the bolt, because then if I would redirect it to Spellskite, I would have to pay 2 life and Spellskite would have been dead. So then I think, what is the correct line here? And it occurs to me that it's quite obvious. Then I, in response to all this, crack a fetch, get a basic force into play, falling to 15, while I should be virtually at 11. So the bolt is on the stack for the Pride Mage, and then I just blink my Pride Mage with the Archangel. Kind of time walking him, because when the dust settles I'm in a great shape, and he basically wasted a lightning bolt and dealt no damage this turn. And he's down on life as well. So he goes for the Blood Moon here. I don't really know why. I feel like keeping a Pestermite up was way better. Don't remember what was his last card, because I think that was an unknown at this point. Oh yeah, it was an unknown. So I go into attacks with both, because that's 1 extra damage. Nothing from me, just past the turn. I kind of have this game locked down. Archangel is such a great card in this matchup, I feel like. I'm not sure exactly why a lot of Abzan builds don't run it. It's just so amazing. I don't know why he went for Batter Skull here. I guess out of desperation. Well, it makes me super tempted to blow up the equipment here, and that's what I end up doing. 5 mana lightning bolt kind of, but with a Spellskite on board, I know it could be worse. He's down to 3 after the attacks. I just lay down a fetch land, so don't really have much here. His Pestermite is basically blanked by the Spellskite in play. He goes to cast Jace and plus it, so after my attacks he would go just to 1. But if I would top deck like Noble Curag, he would have been dead, but I guess he wasn't able to play around that. Then I cast a bird. Doesn't do much here, but you never know with a township or something. If he gets some way to deal with the Archangel. Because plussing Jace doesn't work anymore, so he goes on to minus in Jace, flips the Careless Negate and the Shackles. But the fun point here is that he has a moon in play, and even though he technically has enough of blue mana, but he has a moon, so Shackles, it wouldn't been able to steal the resto, because as of that moment he only had 2 islands. The rest was negated by the moon, so he would have needed to kind of play it from his hand, and I knew he didn't have it. I felt like it, anyways, it was a good split. Anyway, given Kiranas and Negate in one pile and Shackles in another one, because Shackles is the only card that could potentially matter here. And it's really weird why he boarded a Negate against me. It's just so crazy. The spells I end up playing actually can't be countered like a